was fun.
Oh, good.
That was fun. I mean, the singing wasn't very good, but the other guys.
I'm being a bit rough.
Well, this is you singing rough.
Yeah.
Listen, let me out you on this because I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but when you first walked in here, you said you're a little hungover.
But that said the first time. Yeah.
No, I mean right today.
Oh, today, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people who are hungover
Yeah.
don't traditionally sing that way. You've clearly figured this out.
Well, I'm not that experienced at it. I just I thought things have been going really well, so I thought I'd have a few glasses of red last night. I haven't had a drink since New Year's Eve. So.
Really?
Yeah.
And you used last night as an opportunity.
Yeah, I know.
Knowing you were coming in here.
Absolutely. I had a bad flight, so I started drinking on the flight.
On the flight.
Yeah.
Do you, do you actually, now that this is a big career for you, have to think about preservation of your voice in ways that you never did before?
Yeah, absolutely. I had laryngitis at the beginning of January, about 10 days just before my album came out in the UK and Europe. And it was really frightening. My voice, it literally was like a forceps, like a tap. It just stopped coming out during a radio show in France. And I've never been
terrifying.
I've never been so shaken in my life. So I've given up smoking. It's been like 5 weeks and 6 days
Congratulations.
now. No spicy foods, no vinegar, no citrus.
No spicy foods?
No, yeah. I've got to steam every day, twice a day. For my throat, and no drinking, no fizzy drinks.
So you have rituals. You're fully in.
Yeah, it's a schedule. It's regimented.
And what you steam, meaning you just put your head over a boiling bowl of water or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, to lubricate my throat.
I see. Right.
That's what she says. That's what my crazy voice therapist says.
Well, absolutely. But this is, because, and what about talking during the day? Celine Dion famously, doesn't talk, or didn't, I don't know if she does now, didn't talk on a show day at all.
Yeah.
To preserve her voice.
Yeah, that'll be pretty much happening on my tour, yeah. I have to be quiet for at least 2 hours a day.
Wow. Well, I guess so, because you don't just sing, you sing. I mean, you sing out when you sing. You're kind of giving it, but you don't feel that. That feels natural to you. What you just did there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Your voice doesn't feel strained, right?
No, not at all. I mean, it wasn't as easy as it normally is, but.
Did you have to learn to sing properly? Did somebody, after you started to become well-known and sell all these records, did a vocal coach go, okay, now you're going to let me show you how to do this right? Or did you always kind of sing from your body? You know where it was coming from?
Yeah, I've always, I think I've always, like, kind of sung from my diaphragm. I don't think I've ever sung from my throat and stuff like that. But no, I never had any coaching or any lessons before, and I still don't. I do warm up now. I never used to warm up. So I've got my kind of little thing before. Right. Just to protect it, because it's like, for years, you do whatever you want, and then when, you don't think you're going to have to use your voice as much as you do, because you don't think you're going to get signed and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to look after your voice now, because I do a lot.
Do you have
a
voodoo remedy if something goes wrong?
No, just hot water and honey. It's just here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
school.
I go silent, and I have a chalkboard, and I write on that. It's pretty old school.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have a chalkboard with you on tour in case something happens?
No, I use a notepad, but at home, my poor mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no.
I try my best. Got to look after it. It was so frightening.
Well, yeah, it's
really
your gig. Yeah.
No, but even just the thought of, even if I, wasn't didn't do singing every day, just the thought of not singing in the shower makes me sad. Just not being able to sing. It's horrible.
But if your voice hurts, then you can't sing in the shower. You have to write things on the chalkboard to yourself. Then the chalkboard gets washed off with the water. It's a disaster. I spoke with you on the phone a number of months ago when we premiered that song, Rolling in the Deep, here, a North American premiere here on Q. And back then you described how you'd matured and become, I'm quoting you, less stubborn and less bitter since your last record. I mean, musically, you can hear the growth. Tell me about personally, because the last time you were actually in here, you were exhausted. Yeah. I mean, you had been touring nonstop. I almost felt bad that we brought you in here for an interview. You looked just like
always fun.
And you said, I can't wait to get home, and just be at home, be with my mom, and hang out. How are you feeling personally now?
I'm fine. I'm really good. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of time to recoup and stuff like that. And no, I'm in a good place. I'm happy.
How do you feel like you've grown personally?
I just feel like I've kind of been exposed to a lot more. I've had 2 extra years. And I've just seen, I used to not really care about learning about things. Like, I was a stubborn teenager. And I used to think that everything I knew was everything I always needed to know. And, I was, not in a horrible way. It was just, I guess I was quite lazy. Whereas now I'm like, I want to be a bit of a sponge and soak everything up. And
like what? What do you want to learn now?
Like, wine and food and agriculture and like politics and traveling. I hate flying, but I like to travel.
Right.
All sorts of things. Like
Agriculture.
Just everything. I just want to like try and know. It's like about before it was literally boys and music.
Right.
That was my life up until about a year and a half ago.
Right. And you feel like you've learned enough now.
Yeah,
with the boys.
Yeah, but my last boyfriend, he was older than me. He'd seen more of the world than anyone I'd ever dated before and stuff like that, and he opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Is this the boyfriend that the record is about?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you haven't shied away from talking about how thematically, this album charts the end of the relationship and your quest for vengeance and self-assuredness. Tell me about the experience of making that the crux of this record.
It was quite hard. It really hurt. But I had to do it. I've always written songs or written my emotions down since I was really little. So it had to be done. And I felt like I was going on a real journey with myself when I was writing this record. The first record, I just wrote it. Do you know what I mean? It was about my first boyfriend, the first album. But it was there was nothing kind of, I don't know, I just did it. Whereas on this one, I had to do it. I felt like I couldn't breathe unless I wrote the songs on this
Will
record.
each future album be about a boyfriend?
Well, I hopefully not.
Well, there might be a positive record.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd be very good. When I'm happy, I ain't writing songs about being happy.
Not as good. You fall in that camp. Not as good when you're as a writer when you're happy.
I don't think so. I've got one happy song on this album, which is "I'll Be Waiting," which is actually quite a dark happy song because it's actually admitting that I'm an idiot and all this stuff and how many flaws and disappointments I have. But hopefully one day I'll be able to write about positive things.
You don't mention the guy's name, but did you have any concern about outing yourself so publicly in terms of your personal affairs, or did you think twice about that as you were writing and recording these songs? Yeah.
At the beginning, when like not the kind of commitments and promo for 19 were winding down, and there's some, not many, but there's some like tabloid, trashy, magazine journalists who like would really try and dig deep in questions and try and find people and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, that's it. I'm never writing about myself again. But, I have to believe myself to want to like part with my songs and let people hear them. Do you know what I mean? And because the artists that I like, I believe every single word they sing. So I've got to make sure I believe myself. Otherwise, I'm doomed.
Right.
So it was. Once I thought of it like that, it just happened quite quickly.
What about immortalizing one feeling that you have about it? Because, I mean, in retrospect, your former relationships, you sort of change your opinion about the person over time, right? At first you might be angry, then you sort of go through a period of indifference, and then maybe you become friends. Yeah. You've described yourself as bitchy about him on this record. So what happens if that changes? I mean, do you feel bad if you're friends with him now?
Oh, well, no, we're not friends.
You know, so you don't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad. When Don't You Remember was the very last song. I know you like that one.
I love that song.
That was the very last song I wrote.
You wrote that, yeah.
For this record.
Yeah.
I wrote it when I was in California, and it got to the point where I was so exhausted from being so bitchy about him and like being angry and being bitter and stuff like that I started reminiscing, and I couldn't remember why I loved him, and then but I did start remembering like how if he didn't text me back within a minute, I'd totally freak out, like, and how my whole body would shiver when he just touched me and say hello, and I find it quite devastating how, you can just fall out of love with someone, So yeah, I mean, I did go on that journey, and that comes out in songs like "Don't You Remember" and "Someone Like You." I'm at total ease with it. After I wrote that one, I was on my hands and knees crying for feeling, finally freed.
So and what does a song like "Don't You Remember," because it is my fave, which you refused to play for me here.
I haven't refused.
No, I'm kidding. But does a song like that, or even "Rolling in the Deep," I mean, do you think about the subject matter when you're singing, or does it become a song that you own?
Yeah, it just happens.
Then it's music. Then, yeah. Let me ask you about the musical direction you take on this record. One of the producers on 21 is Rick Rubin.
Yes.
He's the acclaimed American producer, known largely for his work in hip hop, hard rock, country. He's produced Johnny Cash, Beastie Boys, Tom Petty. Tell me about how you hooked up with him.
I met him when I did SNL, actually, which was like obviously a night and a moment in my career that completely changed my life. And he was there, and it was during Chasing Pavements, and I remember when I watched back SNL, like quite recently, and I could see in my eyes when I spotted Rick Rubin. He was behind the camera and he was doing his like infamous bob, you know. And
he has an infamous bob.
Yeah, like the way his body moves when he's listening to music, it's quite amazing. And yeah, I know I shit myself because I'm a huge fan. And I met him backstage and he was lovely, really nice. And then we kind of bumped into each other like completely unplanned a couple of times. And then at the Grammys in 2009 was when we both mutually kind of decided to do the record together. I didn't ask him because it's a bit egotistical in it to ask Rick Rubin, hey, do you want to do my record, Rick?
Well, not when you're Adele.
Oh,
no,
2
Grammys and...
No ways. Anyway, it just sort of happened. And
he asked you.
Yeah.
He said to you, if I got the story right, he said to you, let's do a record together.
Yeah. And he came to my Hollywood Bowl show, and I remember he said he wanted to portray my live show on record, you know, because he thinks they're very different and stuff like that. He was pretty amazing though, like just like how authentic it is, and like it's all about the song. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes that's quite easy to forget. Sometimes with the kind of the ever-changing styles that are popular, and you know, in terms of the charts and all that, which is very much a part of my life. That's the kind of music I like. But to like be reminded that it's all about the song and all about the music and how a song moves you, it was very important.
How hands-on was he?
Well, this is the thing. I started like hacking myself, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm working with a producer who's never going to come," and stuff like that. From what people said and stuff like that.
What do you mean never going to come? He
people like he never comes to the studio. He comes in, says yes or no, and then leaves. I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" But he was. I'd arrive and he'd be there, and I'd leave and he'd be there. Right. He was very involved, you know, very.
And what did he tell? What's something he told you that will stick with you? Do you remember something that you learned? You're talking about learning things from
I think
Rick
it was
Rubin?
All about the song. You know, it's like you have to decide on a song about how it makes you feel. You know, how it moves you.
What about this move into? I mentioned off the top that there's more eclectic sounds, and including sort of a country sound at times on this record, more boldly pop at times. There's a blues sound. What was it? Tell me about exploring the countryside, for example.
That was when I was on tour here. Some of my crew, my driver, and my tour manager, and some of the bands and stuff like that. And then fans started doing it. Started making me compilations and mixtapes or suggesting artists and stuff like that, just because I knew nothing about it, you know, because it's not the only country I know is like a crossover tune like Shania Twain or Leanne Rimes or Dolly's 9 to 5 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not part of my culture, or mine and my family's culture anyway, in the UK. And so I was fascinated by it and I loved it, and it just sort of I felt really moved by it, you know, and that was that thing that Rick told me, and it was how instant it was. And there's so many songs these days that I do like, that after 9.5 minutes, I'm like, what the hell is this song about? Do you know what I mean? And with country, it's just so instant. Immediately, first chord or a note or something, and you just know it, you know. And I love the storytelling, and I can be in any situation, put my headphones on, and be taken off into a fantasy world, which is what I like about music.
By who? Like, what's a country artist that you really like now?
I love Alison Krauss.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's amazing. And I discovered her just before everyone started doing the compilations, when the Raising Sand record came out with Robert Plant and T-Bone Burnett. And actually,
when I was speaking to you...
Was I going on about it?
You were you were in November. You were... Where were you? Were backstage?
I was at Jules Holland with Robert
Jules
Plant.
Holland, and you saw Robert Plant.
He
was like standing near you or something at the time. Who's since been here, and what a great guy
he's amazing,
is. Yeah.
So I fell in love with her through that, and T-Bone Burnett, some of the bluegrass stuff. Love Garth Brooks, Loretta Lynn, the Carter family. Love Johnny Cash. I've always known a Johnny Cash, you know. And June Carter is one of my idols. I love her. But lots of stuff, and then, you know, more modern country as well, like Lady Antebellum and stuff like that. And Dolly Parton's early stuff, she's so dark. Like, her early stuff is super dark. Do you know what I mean? But lots of stuff.
She's a great writer too.
Yeah, she is. She wrote "I Will Always Love You" and Jolene in one afternoon. I love it when I hear her talk about that.
Not in the same afternoon.
The same afternoon.
Really?
The same afternoon.
Are you really? I never knew that.
I've heard her talk about it. The same afternoon. I Will Always Love You and Jolene, just in one sitting, you know, just knock it out.
It was a good afternoon.
Yes, totally.
I'll have some of what she's having. That's remarkable. Do you feel a responsibility? You have a really avid fan base, you know, and all around the world now, and here in Canada and North America. Not that you've changed the sound of your as an artist very much here. You haven't gone a 360 or something, but or a 180. What would be a different sound? 180, I guess. But 360 would be back to this sound. But do you think of the fans when you're writing songs, and do you think of an Adele sound?
No, not when I'm writing the songs. It's very personal when I'm writing my songs. I mean, there were a few times I kept kind of wondering if maybe I should be thinking, is this song, radio friendly, or like, is this gonna, have the same impact on people's lives that my first album did? Sometimes I felt bad that I didn't wasn't asking myself those questions in the studio. But my songs, it's I'm oblivious when I'm writing when I'm writing music. Right. People ask me, because there's like the sophomore slump thing that everyone keeps talking about here, and well,
it doesn't seem to be much of a slump,
but they keep saying it, and I just, right. If I thought about all those things, I don't think that I think my record would sound overthought and stuff like that, So I'm no pressures or nothing. I was oblivious to it.
I heard you wrote "Don't You Remember Rolling in the Deep" and "I Will Always Love You" in one afternoon.
And "I Will Always Love You."
Yeah. I heard you wrote all of those in one afternoon.
I wrote "Rolling in the Deep" and "He Won't Go" in one afternoon, in one sitting.
See?
Yeah.
But
they're not quite Jolene and "I Will Always Love You."
I don't know. Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
You've got a really glamorous-looking wedding ring on you.
Oh, I've worn them on that finger for a long time. They're just very pretty.
You didn't get married or something?
No, I'm single.
Right. But it's very nice.
Thanks.
What's you just like it and you put it there?
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about that. Well, it's a great pleasure to have you here again.
Thanks so much for having me
We
again.
get really excited when you're going to come back here, and I have to say, we just mentioned that you're going to come on, and people start freaking out because you really have a devoted and wondrously excited a fan base, and it keeps growing. So you're going to play another song for us.
Yes.
What are you going to play for us now?
Be Someone Like You. I heard that you're settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. Oh, friend, why are you so shy? It ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Yeah. You know how the time flies. Only yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised in a summer haze, bound by the surprise of our glory days. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over, yeah. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it compares, no worries or cares, regrets and mistakes that memories made. Who would have known how bittersweet this would taste? Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Yeah.